All right. Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and welcome to Congregation Kol Ami. We are broadcasting live from the Circle of Light, and it is a delight to be celebrating here with you. We also welcome all of our visitors, our skulkers, and our lurkers, and we're glad to have you there watching and seeing what's going on. So, because we are in the month of Elul, and we are coming towards the High Holy Days very quickly. In our traditional practice here at Kol Ami, I use Friday night to sound the shofar. Now, is that halakhically correct? No, you're not supposed to handle a shofar on Shabbat. Reasons why? It's way too complicated. But in any case, it's not important. Since I drove here in my car, I think I can blow the shofar. So, here we have one of my favorite shofars, and we are going to listen to the sounds and prepare ourselves auditorily and spiritually for the days of awe that are coming. And so it is the three sounds of the shofar. Call us to attention. On Shabbat, normally we do a nigun to help us relax and set aside the troubles of the day and the week. But in Elul, it's time to wake up and begin our spiritual preparations. So before we get into the formal steps of Shabbat, it's time to check in for good and blessing. So I'm going to start out by offering these recognitions to the people who have made tonight possible. Of course, we want to think of our president, Becky, who is here, as well as Bob, who is our producer and makes all of this visually and auditorily possible. We are thankful for Lindsay Lev, who is here also with us. And we also want to thank Don and Helena Dawsey and Harold and Adrian Harris and Sharon Pickett and Michelle Jim, who are making up our present minyan. We want to recognize those inevitable moments that come to us each and every year. Maybe you're happy about it, maybe you're not, but we're happy about it because you're in our lives. So we'll start with birthdays. Marshall Armentor and Marcia Miller and Victoria Milner, Max Muniz, and Violet Neff Helms, Tanta Violet, all are celebrating their birthday this past week. Is there anybody else with a birthday or anything like that? No? Okay. No anniversaries, sadly, to report this week, but we may have individual good and blessings to share. I'll begin. I have a little one and a big one. The little one is that our freezer broke down in April, and as it turns out, freezers are as rare as toilet paper. And we have been waiting months for production to catch up, but the Chinese have been very kind to us, and last week a freezer became available, one of these sarcophagus freezers you stick in your garage, where you can put your occasional lamb chop or someone you've murdered, and we got it. It came yesterday, and it's the perfect size, and I'm very excited. So that's the small. The big one is that there's been a lot of changes in the Dennis house, all of them good. My eldest son, Avi, has begun formally his job at Amazon, and he's had his first full week there. So we're delighted that he's finally found work. And for Micah, he took the very big step of moving out of the house. Avi's been out and been back, so he knows what it's like. Micah has never lived away from us. So we're thrilled that he's taken up the choice to take up an independent life. And I'm more excited than Robin is. Robin's more ambivalent about it, but it's a good and blessing to me. So who else has a good and blessing to share?
Melissa Hart says her father-in-law's birthday is on Sunday.
A mazel tov to him. That's wonderful. I don't know if Melissa can actually be physically present with him, but regardless, we send our good wishes from afar. Who else? Anybody else have a good or blessing? Don?
Don's working again.
Don is working to get again, which he considers a good and blessing. So we do too. You know, he's an impressive worker. So whoever is employing him is blessed. And we're glad you're doing. And Helena?
We
How was that?
Our family in Houston
Uh-huh.
celebrated the bar mitzvah of my cousin's grandson, and it was not as good as we usually put on.
Right.
But he did a very nice job.
That's lovely. That's lovely. And it's wonderful to be able to, touch upon normal life again through these moments. Anybody else have a good and blessing to report? All right. Well, we're going to go to the kindling of Shabbat lights and get this Shabbat started. And it's my privilege to invite up Helena Shap-Dossi to kindle the lights of Shabbat. If you're using our Kol Ami Siddur, we're going to be on page 1.
In the beginning, when the Spirit of God hovered over the darkness, God's first creation was light. As we kindle these Shabbat lights, we attest to the majesty of God's work and rejoice in its beauty. Light is a symbol of divinity and creative goodness. It is the outward sign of that inner spark which God has granted each of us. In hope and with love, we now welcome Shabbat with light. Baruch
Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Praise are you, Adonai, whose presence fills the world, who hallows us with mitzvot and inspires us to kindle Shabbat lights.
May God bless us with Shabbat joy. May God bless us with Shabbat holiness. May God bless us with Shabbat peace.
Amen.
Kol hakavod, my dear. Thank you. We are going to begin our Kabbalat Shabbat on page 3 with Psalm 96. We're going to pick it up in the middle of the psalm. Yismechu hashamayim v'targel haaretz v'yiram hayam umalo'o. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth exult. Let the sea and all within it thunder. The fields and everything in them exult. Then shall all the trees of the forest shout for joy at the presence of Adonai. For God is coming to rule the earth. God will rule the world justly and its peoples faithfully. We turn now to Psalm 97 that assures us that there is always light for the righteous and the caring. Psalm 97. Adonai reigns, let the land exult and the many islands rejoice. Dense clouds surround God. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of God's throne, and God's lightning illumines the world. Light is sown for the righteous, radiance for the upright. O you who are righteous, rejoice in Adonai and acclaim God's holy name. We continue with Psalm 29, Havul Adonai. Havu l'Adonai b'nei elim, havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz, havu l'Adonai kevod shemo, ishtachavu l'Adonai b'hadrat kodesh,
Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yevarech et amo b'shalom.
Ascribe to Adonai, you children of God. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's name, and worship Adonai in the beauty of holiness. May Adonai give strength to this people. May Adonai bless this people with peace. And now we come to the culminating moment as we enter into Shabbat, Lecha Dodi. We'll be singing the 4 stanzas, and then the final stanza will all rise if able.
Lehadodi likrat kala, bnei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת להובן אלך, כי היא מקור הברכה, מהירוש מקדם נשואה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני הלך נגלה. להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. להדודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
And having completed the transition to Shabbat, we return to Psalm 92, the psalm dedicated to the Sabbath. Mizmor shir leyom haShabbat, tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulzamir l'shimcha elyon. A psalm, a song for the Sabbath. It is good to give thanks to Adonai and to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a harp, with lyre, and voice in unison. And Sadiq Katamar Yifrach, Ve'erez ve'Lebanon Yizgeh, and the righteous, they shall bloom like a palm, they shall thrive like a cedar of Lebanon. We now continue with Hatzi Kaddish, and we make our transition into the evening service.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא יברא הירותי וימליך מלכותי, והיכון וביומכון ובהי כל בית ישראל. בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר וירומם וינשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי הקדושה ברכו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ויאמרו אמן.
Having gone through our Shabbat awakening and now fully spiritually prepared, we begin our evening service. Please rise.
Baruch et Adonai, hamevorach, hamevorach, leolam vaed. Hamevorach, hamevorach, leolam vaed.
We continue now giving thanks for the verities and certainties of our world, Ma'ariv Aravim. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, whose presence fills the world, whose word makes evening fall. God opens the gates of heaven, in wisdom makes time pass, and the seasons change. The stars in the sky move according to God's will. Adonai of hosts is the creator of day and night, causing day and night to alternate. May God govern us always to the end of time. Praised are you, Adonai, who makes evening fall. Along with the verities of our world, in an uncertain world, we are assured of the certainty of God's love. Ahavat olam, your eternal love. Unending is your love for your people, the house of Israel. Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts you have taught us. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and rejoice in your Torah and mitzvot forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life and the length of our days. Then your love shall never depart from our hearts. Blessed is Adonai, who loves the people Israel. And at a time when we feel fragmented and disoriented, it is good to remind ourselves that there is an underlying unity to all things.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod. Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך ובביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך ושרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם אני אדוני אלוהיהם אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים להיות להם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיהם.
There are two ways for a Jew to read our history. We can read it with dread and sadness, or we can read it with hope and confidence. In Emet ve'emunah, we are reminded that despite all the trials and tribulations that a people 3,000 years old inevitably faces, that God has sustained us, and we are here today because we have overcome all obstacles. We credit God with that, and we are thankful. Emet ve'emunah, kol zot ve'kayam aleinu ki hu Adonai Eloheinu, ve'en zulato, ve'nachnu Yisrael amo. True and enduring, beloved and precious, awesome, good, and beautiful is this eternal teaching. This truth we hold to be forever certain. Adonai is our ruler, the rock of Jacob, shield of our salvation. Adonai, our God, you redeemed us from Egypt. You set us free from the house of bondage. For this, the people who felt your love sang songs of praise to you. Living God, high and exalted, mighty and awesome, who humbles the proud and raises the lowly, who frees the captive and redeems the oppressed, who is the answer to all who cry out. All praise to God Most High, the source of blessing. Like Moses and Israel, we sing this song of rejoicing, our first song of confidence, Micha Mocha.
And just as a heads up, I'm going to be doing the version that I'll be doing in the High Holy Days. So as the time approaches, I'll start throwing more music from the High Holy Days at you so that you're more familiar with them as the services approach.
Just as we ask God to be the help of our people, we also speak the Hashkivenu, asking God to be our personal protector and comforter as the day draws to a close. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim, ufros elenu sukat shlomecha. Grant that we should lie down tonight in peace, Adonai our God, and tomorrow raise us up, O sovereign, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace, guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake, be our help. Shield us from hatred and plague, keep us from war, famine, and anguish. Subdue our inclination to evil. O God, our guardian and helper, our gracious and merciful sovereign, give refuge to us in the shadow of your wings. O guard our coming and our going, that always we have life and peace. We praise you, O God, whose sukkah of peace is spread over us, over all your people, Israel, and over Jerusalem. And now we turn to the next rubric of our service, Tefillah, our standing prayer. If you're able to, please rise.
Adonai, שפתי תיטעו, פי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו ואהבה, מלך עושה מושיע ומגן. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Elohim Ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מהלך הכל אתה רב להושיע, מקלקל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, צומק נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, לשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות, ומי דומה אליו, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We continue now to honor the Sabbath with Yismechu v'malachutacha. Please be seated, everyone. Those who keep the Shabbat and call it delightful shall rejoice in your sovereignty forever. The people who sanctify the seventh day shall be gladdened by your goodness. This is the day of your desire, sanctified and blessed by you, the most precious of days, a memorial to all creation.
ישמחו במלכותיה, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותיה, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. מקדשי שביעי שבת, כולם ישבעו ויתענגו בטובך השבת. ישמחו במלכותיה, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי ציצה בו וקדשו שבת, עמדת ימים, אותו קראת שבת. ישמחו במלכותיה, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותיה, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. זה למעשה בראשית שבת, זה למעשה בראשית שבת. ישמחו במלכותיה, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותיה, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת.
In its most traditional form, Reitzei is a prayer asking for God to restore our ancient temple. In its modern iteration here, we ask God to receive our prayers. In all cases, it's a prayer in which we express our longing and hope that our deepest wishes will come true. Reitzei Adonai Eloheinu ba'amcha Yisrael utefilata v'ahava tikabel. V'tihi l'ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha. Baruch atah Adonai she'otecha levadcha v'ira na'avod. Adonai, our God, show favor towards your people Israel and lovingly receive our prayers. May the worship of your people Israel always be acceptable. For you alone do we hold in reverence. And we offer thanks. We give thanks to you, Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors. You are the rock of our lives, the shield of our salvation in every generation. We thank you and we recite your praises. Let all the living affirm you and praise your name as the God of our salvation and help. Praised are you, Adonai. Goodness is your name. All praises to you. And then, in a final petition, we ask God to grant us abundant peace and spread it over all those things that we touch and that touch us.
Shalom Rav al Israel Amha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Israel Amha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Israel Amha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Israel Amha Tasim Leolam. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. ואמרו אמן.
This is my 24th year in the professional rabbinate, my 24th year of preparing as a rabbi for the High Holy Days. And this year is like no other year. Never have I experienced a year like this. So it's comforting in a strange way when something expected happens. It happens every year for 26 years as we wind our way into the High Holy Days. There is some signal act against the Jews that has to be addressed. And this year is no different than any other. And in this past week, in fact, I'll note that there have been 3 minor and 1 significant event of anti-Semitism. Number 1, protesters put up signs across a synagogue lawn along the sidewalk in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Mostly anti-Israel signs, but ones that transitioned into anti-Semitism. Boycott Israel, stop US aid to Israel, end the Palestinian Holocaust, no more Holocaust movies, but also resist Jewish power, and Jewish power corrupts, embracing anti-Semitic tropes. That's 1. 2, a sign hanging off of an overpass in Los Angeles, a banner dropped that says, honk if you know the Jews want a race war. A California-based hate group, Goyim Defense League, takes credit for that one. Then, on the eve of speaking at the Republican National Convention, intended speaker Mary Ann Mendoza posted online an information about QAnon, the very peculiar and radical conspiracy theory that includes many anti-Semitic ideas. She was ordered down and not allowed to speak. But the most significant event has been the arson of the Chabad Center at the University of Delaware. The perpetrator or perpetrators, unlike the other cases, are not known. Hopefully we will, and some justice will be brought. But we know in general that these kinds of incidents are on the rise. As I've noted these events on my Facebook page, I've also seen a very disturbing trend, and that is how much our political polarization colors our responses as Jews. If we are left-leaning Jews, we want to ascribe this to the racism coming out of the right. If we are right-leaning Jews, this is the fault of the left. But one of my teachers offered a great biblical metaphor that I use constantly. I find it very, very insightful. Esau, he says, referring to the brother of Jacob who sought to kill Jacob, he said, had 2 hands, left and right. This reminds us that Jew hatred can grow and flourish in any political environment, in any political movement. And our reality now is that anti-Semitism and anti-Semites seek to find a home all across the current landscape of our dividedness. Our fissures as Americans are the places where Jew hatred is finding room to take seed. Racists simply reframe their loathing for Jews in a language or in themes that they believe will be more easily accepted by their adopted political home or the community where they strive to achieve legitimacy. Have no doubt, this is a problem for all of us, all across the spectrum, regardless of our other commitments as Americans. Now, the good news is the political leadership of our nation has, as it has always, responded by pushing back on the haters and their ranks. We should be reassured by this. These issues are investigated, pursued, and brought to justice whenever possible. But we still need to be united in our opposition. We cannot simply rely on the goodwill of the government. So what should be our priorities when we are confronted with so many different moments? How and where should we push back and force the racists and haters back to the margins? Well, I like to start with the severity of the threat. Evil acts, I believe, take precedent over evil words. And as distressing as Ann Arbor and QAnon and the Goyim Defense League are, they are just words. So far as we know, none of these people have incited any violence. The arson in Delaware is of a different order. It's a more serious threat. Persons unknown hate us strongly enough to physically strike out at us. It is a case like this where we need to urge on local, state, and federal agencies who are our allies to pursue, find, and hold accountable these violent haters. We also have to, I believe, vary our methods according to the threat. There is an interesting distinction that is found in our Torah portion this week. In Ki Tetzei, God commands us, you shall not abhor the Egyptians. What? The people who enslaved us? The people who did real violence to us? We should just get along after all the misery we've endured at their hands? Rabbi Jacob Sachs tries to make sense of this by pointing back to last week's portion, where we are given a different commandment towards our enemies. Remember what the Amalekites did to you along the way when you came out of Egypt. When you were weary and worn out, they met you on your journey and they attacked all who lagged behind. They had no fear of God. You shall blot out the name of Amalek from under the heavens. On the face of it, that makes things even more confusing. Against one enemy, we are to wage relentless war. Against another one, we should forgive and forget. It only gets more confusing for us. Amalekites did no more than attack the Israelites once, an attack that the Israelites successfully repelled. The Egyptians kept us for generations. Yet Moses commands, blot out their name. In the Exodus, the Torah says that God shall be at war with Amalek for all generations. Again, we must ask, why the difference? Why did Moses tell the Israelites, in effect, forgive the Egyptians, but not the Amalekites? That, Rabbi Sachs argues, is the difference between the Amalekites and the Egyptians and their kind of hatred. The Egyptians' hate and fear of the Israelites was grounded in a seemingly paranoid, but not all-encompassing loathing. Pharaoh said of our people, the Israelites are becoming too numerous and strong for us. We must deal wisely with them. Otherwise, they may increase so much that if there is a war, they will join our enemies and fight against us, driving us from the land. So the Egyptians feared us for our strength. The Amalekites, who attacked our stragglers, our old and our weak, exploited our weakness. Hate versus love, strong versus weak. Does any of this work? I'm not sure it does. But I do think I can give a modern analogy in our own situation. And that is, we must distinguish between the reachable and the unreachable among those who hate us. We know who Amalekite is in the modern terms. It's Nazis, it's neo-Nazis, it's Klansmen, it's those who advocate violence against us and then go and act upon it. People whose ideology is so fixed, there's no talking to them. On the other hand, ranters and those who fall under the spell of conspiracy delusions and paranoia, like I think most of the people who've been attracted to QAnon or to anti-Israel rhetoric, can be, I believe, reasoned with, or more potent than reason, perhaps they can be loved out of their hatred of Jews. There are those whose hearts can be changed with patience and persuasion, with compassion and understanding. And there are those who can't. That's the distinction. I know this is hard and it seems counterintuitive, but I think winning such people over has more long-term rewards than repelling them. When we encounter someone online or in our face who says something negative about us, we need to approach it first from a perspective of education rather than confrontation. It's harder and more dangerous, I think, to let these bad ideas continue by simply forcing them away. These ideas infect decent people, and we need to be able to counter that. That's why we are not to abhor the Egyptians. They can change. For those who simply accuse or argue, we need to explain before we dismiss, before we give up. I think it's true that even if I fail in my own implementation, I have found that if you are patient and try to persuade and stick with them and approach them as people of judgment and thoughtfulness rather than curse and drive away, you have a chance of shifting the other person's opinion. You just have to accept that you're not going to see it happen in the course of your current argument, because opinions are like clothing. People will change them, but not in front of other people. So when you walk away from that argument feeling unsatisfied, feeling like you've made no difference, perhaps you have. Perhaps they'll revise what they have to say the next time something like this happens. I think the Mendozas of the world can actually be won over. As long as it remains a war of words, we need to put forth a voice of reason and a voice of love and compassion. But if that person embraces arson, assault, or murder, well, then I rely on the great Jewish sage Bugs Bunny, who would say, you know, this means war. Not all hostility to Jews or to Israel as a Jewish state is inevitable or intractable. And where it is not, it can be moved. But I understand that at times it's too much for even a people with the patience born of 3,000 years to have to listen to some of this nonsense. All of it must be resisted, surely, but only the worst of it needs to be punished. In the war against Jew hatred, we must be ready to fight different battles, fought on different kinds of fronts at different levels. All we can do is remember and not forget, confront it and defend ourselves against it, but proportionally, according to the scale of the threat. Amalek does not die, but then neither do we. We are the Jewish people, the eternal people. Attacked by so many times over the centuries, we still live. Our people still endures, giving testimony to the victory of our God, the victory of love over the myths and madness of hate. Let us continue that work in the year ahead. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So it's time for our announcements, and that means our inimitable president, Becky Leonard. Come on up.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to another Friday night Zoom. I do want to thank everyone who makes the commitment to be here, whether in person or online. We've made it to another Friday, and sometimes we just need to be thankful for the small things. So coming into the weekend, enjoying our Shabbat, those are all things to be thankful for as we move into what feels like 110 degrees outside for the next several days. So I want to talk about a few announcements that we have. We've got Sunday school beginning this Sunday, not traditionally as we do Sunday school, but through Zoom. All the links are out there for all of the classes. We're excited about our format. For the younger kids, we have music. For the older kids, we've put our services and Hebrew back in. We really feel this is a good format. Although we also know, to be honest, we will take your feedback and adjust as we need to go. Nothing is perfect. We're kind of figuring this out. So very much parents, as you're sitting there with your kids, listen, give us feedback. We're very open to it. There is the page on the website that has all the links that you need for religious school. They're going to be there for as long as we need them this year. They're on the links on the education Zoom links for religious school menu on the website. If you haven't signed up for religious school yet, please don't worry. You can still do that. Download the religious school Siddur. It's all out there. Everything you need is really out on the website. If I say it once, I probably say it 15 times every Friday. Use our website. It has just about everything you need and then some. So we're really happy to announce that we have our clothing recycler out in box. It was delivered earlier this week. We're partnering with World Wear Project. It's a partnership that allows us to provide shoes and clothing to those in need. It helps us raise funds for CKA, helps our environment by encouraging reuse. Do you have that donation pile at home? Have you completely COVID-19'd your house? Are you ready for some more Marie Kondo? Do you love it? Does it need to go? Turn those clothes into money for the congregation. Yes, this is my blatant pitch for you to clean out your closet and raise some money from CKA. If you have any questions, once again, I'm going to say it, there's a link on the website for that. The box is very prominently placed. It has our logo on it. It's at the very far end of our parking lot, so maybe we'll actually attract some folks from.
It's so cool.
It is super cool. I really want to thank our VP of Fundraising, Michelle Jim, for following through on this. This has been a really good, unique fundraiser for us. So Jacob Wisniewski, our building VP, wanted to extend a huge thanks to everyone who worked outdoors, our outdoor mensches, who helped with the cleanup last Sunday. A big todah rabbah to Rabbi Dennis, Jeff Cagle, Paul Dietz, Harold, apparently the Hedger Harris, Dawn Dossie, Adam and Steve Ducar, and Carly Wisniewski. We really appreciate everybody helping spruce up. It makes it look nice before the holidays. It also helps with our safety and security as well. So we very much appreciate it. For community events, the JCC is sponsoring both an online film festival and book reading with authors. If you're interested in attending, please be sure to check out the Blast or the Blast Archive, once again, on our website for more information. See, I think I'm going to go for 15 tonight. Finally, my last announcement has to do with our social media pages. Please don't forget that on Monday, August 31st, at some point in the afternoon or the evening, we will be closing down all but our private Congregation Kol Ami page and our public Kol Ami page. Sisterhood, Religious School, Tikkun Olam pages will all go away so that we can streamline our communication, make it more clear, also make it more secure. So if you're ready to rejoin, you can do that on Tuesday morning. We will admit you as long as you're a member of this congregation. So we look forward to be able to put information out there that really only needs to be to the members, and what needs to be public can be public. So we're very much looking forward to that, and we appreciate the VP of Communication for bringing that to us as we moved into this year. So with that, I'll move into our Misha Bayrachs. As our custom is at Congregation, we wish peace and healing to those in need of it. As I look across the room and I ask for those of you on virtual, if there's anyone who has a name that they would like to add to our list, please let me know.
Carrie Davis, Shirley Hayden, Sandy Rosen, Mike Nelson, Carol Singer, Jay Harris.
Thank you. Thank you. Nothing from there. Okay. We also wish Anna Binder, Sid Binder, Quala Chisholm, Dave Cook, Gordon Ellison, Tammy Ferris, Dora Ferraro, Michelle Griffith, Mel Gross, Ken Hirschman, Jody Hoffman, Judy Hurwitz, Deb Kaufman, Alex Koenig, Lauren Koenig, Bill Lee, Sandy Lensner, Stanley Levy, Judy Morasic, Dawn Neal, Herbert Paley, Adrian Sandler, Myra Schusler, and Jeff Springer. If you join me on page 79 for Misha Bayroff. Misha Bayroff Avotenu Makor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Makor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
I'm going to invite you all now to turn to page 82 to rise for the Aleinu. And Adrian, would you come up and help me open the ark? Page 82.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרה בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמן מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד.
ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו Ushemo, Ushemo And now is our time to remember and to honor all those who've passed away, those who have died recently, those who have died at the season in years past, so that our memories of them may be sweetened and that we may recognize all that they have contributed to our lives. In that spirit, I observe that we have no one officially listed for Shiva at Congregation Kol Ami this week. Is there anyone who's lost someone in the past 7 days? Anybody online? For Shloshim, we're thinking of Modi Anis, the cousin of Casey Flansbaum. Is there anyone else who has lost someone in the last month? No? Okay. Here at our congregation, we have these individuals connected to our community whose anniversaries of death, whose yahrzeits we want to recognize. Goldie Biener, Phyllis Brenner, Ann Brooks, Adam Cohen, Ann Feiner, Sylvia Feldman, Bernard Fromm, Lisa Loeb, Dory Jean Sand, Arthur Selensky, and Michael Fox Weisbart. Is there anyone else mourning for someone who has died at this time in past years? Anybody online? All right. We want to honor the memory of all these people. We want to celebrate it and show our affection and support to those who mourn for them by saying Kaddish together. If you're able to, please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah ve'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael Bagalal Uizman Kariv Imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'elam Ulamei Amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal Shmei Dekudsha Barichu Le'elam Min Kol Birchatata B'shirata Tushbachata V'nechemata Damiran Be'alma V'imru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Mim Shemaya V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu yasei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort all the bereaved among us. And let us say, amen. So be seated, everyone. And our closing song is going to be Hine Matov Umanaim, how good it is for us to be in unity. This is probably the most important principle for us right now, though we are far apart. Let us join together in unity. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We continue now with our Kiddush for Friday night with wine and with bread. So, my dear, will you come and execute your most excellent Kiddush leadership?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzav בשבת קודשו, באהבה וברצון הנהילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תהילה למקראי קודש, זהר לצפיית מצרים, כי באנו ואהבת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנהלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן.
L'chaim.
All right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lehem min haaretz. Amen.
Okay, alone. Easier.
That's cheating.
I know, it is a bit cheating. Accommodating, right. Just think of it, no, not for Harold. Adrian, you want? There we go. That's 100%. Oh, yeah, well, no, I've gotta, there we go. I gotta get to, here we are. All right. The manna has flown. Now, for the last point, because Don alludes to the fact that no one really understands what I mean when I say coming from the circle of light. With Bob's permission, I'm going to turn this around towards the camera so that you can see this glowing force that is in my face the entire service. This is why I feel like I live constantly within the circle of light. It actually makes everything work much better. It is an angel of its own manner. So I just want you to know so that you may be maskil, you may be the enlightened who understand, because I'm certainly enlightened. So Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.